always enjoyed walking home from a late shift at the coffee shop. The quiet streets and the cool night air help me relax after a long day. There's something peaceful about the city at night. The buildings bathed in the light from the street lamps, while I can hear the distant hum of traffic and the occasional rustle of leaves in the pleasant breeze. I often walk at a leisurely pace and enjoy these moments of solitude. My path takes me through a small park, past a row of quaint shops, and then down a quiet residential street lined with charming old houses. It's a familiar path, one I've taken countless times without a second thought. These late-night walks have always been a time for me to unwind, to let the stress of the day fall away from me before I finally collapse into bed. Lately, however, the sense of peace I once found in this has turned into a source of dread. It started with the little things. I felt the weight of unseen eyes tracking my every move as I walked my usual route, but when I turned around, the street was empty. At first, I took it for paranoia or exhaustion. Everyone gets that weird feeling sometimes, right? One night, I noticed a car parked not far from my apartment. It wasn't unusual for cars to be parked there, but something about this one didn't sit right with me. It was always the same car, and it always showed up at the exact moment I left for work, and when I came back, it was still there. I tried to explain it simply, and maybe it just belonged to someone in the house. Still, I couldn't shake the feeling that someone was watching me. The turning point came last Thursday. I was closing the cafe, the last to leave as usual. As I locked the door, I saw a shadow standing under a streetlight on the other side of the road. The figure didn't move, just stood there, staring in my direction. My heart raced, but I forced myself to walk calmly to my car and pretend I hadn't noticed. When I looked in my rearview mirror, the figure was gone. The next morning, I found a note under the windshield wiper. "You look beautiful when you're scared." My blood ran cold. It wasn't just my imagination. Someone was really watching me. I reported it to the police, but they dismissed it as a simple prank. "Probably just some prankster trying to scare you," they said. But I knew it was more than that. Over the next few days, the feeling that I was being watched intensified. I began to notice the same person watching me over and over again from a distance. Whether I was in the grocery store, going to the post office, or even looking out my apartment window, the figure was there, lurking just at the edge of my field of vision. It was as if it knew my every move, every movement, every thought. I began to isolate myself, avoiding friends and family out of fear. My sleep became restless as I was plagued by nightmares of being stalked and generally became increasingly paranoid. I felt a constant pressure on my chest, a daunting sense of impending doom that I couldn't escape. One night, in classic fashion, I came home to find my apartment door slightly ajar. Of course, that's very strange. After all, I used to close and then lock them, didn't I? My heart was pounding when I opened it, terrified of what I might find inside. The apartment looked untouched, but there was evidence of an intruder. A single red rose lay on my kitchen table with another message. "I know where you sleep." Panic gripped me again. I called the police again, but according to them, there was no sign of forced entry and nothing had been stolen. It was probably just a coincidence, they told me. Lock the door and be vigilant. Coincidence? Are they serious? I started seeing a therapist in hopes of relieving my growing paranoia. But even there, in the supposed safety of a professional office, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. The therapist tried to reassure me that it was all in my head, a manifestation of stress and anxiety. But I knew that wasn't true. The turning point came when I found A dead cat on my apartment doorstep. A chilling reminder that my stalker wasn't just playing. It was a message. I packed my bag and fled to the hotel, hoping to find some semblance of safety there. But even there, I was haunted by the feeling that I was being followed. I couldn't escape. I can't hide. My life had become a prison of anxiety and paranoia. Every creak of the floor, every shadow, every stranger's gaze felt like a threat. They are relentless. A shadow that follows me wherever I go, sucking the life and sanity out of me. I've begun to develop a series of habits, rituals really, that I use to keep the fear at bay. Every night I double-check the locks on all the doors and windows, sometimes 3 or 4 times, before I finally convince myself that it's safe to go to bed. Even then, I often lie awake for hours listening to all the unusual noises, my heart racing with every creak or groan from the old building. During the day, I avoid going out as much as possible. I've started ordering groceries online, and I've even convinced my boss to let me take a few days off. When I do have to go out, I move quickly, constantly scanning the area of any sign of my pursuer. I wear glasses and a hat, trying to disguise myself to make it harder for him to recognize me. But no matter what I do, I can't shake the feeling that he's still out there, lurking just out of sight. The notes keep coming. I find them under the windshield wiper, tucked in the door in the mail slot, even tucked in the groceries when I have them delivered. Each one more disturbing than the last. You can't hide from me. I see you. You belong to me. The handwriting is always the same, neat and precise, almost elegant. It's quite a stark contrast to the disturbing messages they contain. I've even changed my phone number twice, but the unknown calls keep coming. At first, it was just heavy sighing, the occasional whisper of my name. Now they're more explicit, describing in detail the things my stalker wants to do to me. I've stopped answering the phone altogether and have every call sent to voicemail. But even then, there are messages waiting for me, constantly reminding me that I'm never really alone. My friends and family worry about me. They see how it marks me, the dark circles under my eyes, how I jump at the slightest noise. I've tried to explain to them what's going on, but most of them don't understand. It's all in your head, you're just stressed. I started keeping a journal, recording every encounter, every note, every phone call, the date and the exact time down to the second. It's a way to keep myself grounded, to remind myself that it's real, that I'm not just making it up. Sometimes I read back through the records in the hope of finding some clue, some pattern I've missed. But it's always the same. A relentless, inescapable nightmare. One night I was awakened by someone tapping on my bedroom window. My apartment is on the 3rd floor, and there's no fire escape outside or any other way to get upstairs. The logical part of my brain told me it was just the wind or maybe a branch from a tree outside. But deep down, I knew it was him. I remained completely still, barely daring to breathe until the pounding finally stopped and I could hear my heart pounding in my ears. I had installed security cameras around my apartment, but they provided little comfort. I spent hours reviewing the footage, looking for any sign of it. Sometimes I think I see something, a shadow moving in the background, a figure standing just out of frame. But it's always too blurry, too indistinct for me to be sure. I even tried staying with my friends, hoping that being around other people would make me feel safer. But the feeling of being watched never goes away. One night when I was at my best friend's house, I found a note slipped under the door. You can't escape me. As the days turn into weeks, I feel myself sinking deeper and deeper into despair. I'm constantly on the edge of my seat, my nerves stretched to the breaking point. I've begun to have panic attacks. My chest tightens, and my breathing comes in short intervals. The anxiety is always there, a dark cloud hanging over me, suffocating me. I had a dream last night, or maybe it was a nightmare. I was walking home from the cafe on my usual route, but everything was different. The streets were empty, the buildings dark, and all around unbearably silent. The shadows seemed to reach out and twist and touch me. I could feel eyes on me, hundreds of them, watching and waiting. I tried to run, but my feet felt like they were moving in molasses, slow and heavy. No matter how hard I tried, I couldn't run. I woke up drenched in sweat, my heart racing. It took me a moment to realize where I was before I convinced myself it was just a dream. I don't know how much longer I can keep this up. I'm physically and mentally exhausted. The constant dread, the sleepless nights, the endless feeling of being watched. It's all too much. I feel like I'm losing my mind, on the verge of a breakdown. I was thinking of moving somewhere far away and starting somewhere else. But deep down, I know it wouldn't make any difference. My stalker would find me no matter where I went. He's always there, always watching me, always waiting. Sometimes I wonder who he is, why he's doing this to me. Is it someone I know? A stranger? What did I do to deserve this? But I know that even if I knew the answers, it wouldn't change anything. The fear would still be there, that constant sense of dread, the feeling that I'm never truly safe. Writing this text is my only comfort, my only way of keeping from collapsing. It's a way to make sense of the madness, to remind myself that it's real, that I'm not just making it up. I don't know if anyone will believe me, but I need to document my fall into this senseless horror. If you were reading this, please believe me. I'm not crazy. I'm not making anything up. It's real, and it's happening to me. I don't know how much longer I can take it. Fear is consuming me and eating away at my sanity. I need help, but I don't know where to turn. So please, help me. Thanks so much for listening, guys. A quick shout out to my patrons. Kevin Kess, Sabiel Eclipse, 055555, Cormac Wells, Amara, Matthew Steiner, Cupcake Hips, Alonzo, Mr. Sankofa, Michael Milburn, Kozak, Icy Narrates, Jesse Hartley, Eric Cifuentes, Andreas Anderson London, Lawrence Wallen, Geek Sanctuary, Melissa Perez, and this guy. That is someone's actual username. I love that. Thanks again so much for watching, guys. If there's anything you would like me to pray for, I would love to know how I can be praying for you. I hope you have a nice day, and I'll see you in the next video.